For countless generations, humanity has turned its eyes to the night sky not only to seek out distant worlds or the possibility of alien life, but also to search for the strange, the rare, and the unexplained. We have always been fascinated by those moments when the universe does something unexpected, and when the cosmos seems to defy its own rules. And now, it appears that the James Webb Space Telescope might have stumbled upon exactly that. What began as a routine observation of the third interstellar object to ever enter our solar system, a mysterious traveler known as 3 Atlas, has evolved into something far more complex, far more unsettling, and potentially far more significant than anyone could have anticipated. Somewhere beyond the orbit of Mars, in the deep, cold void where sunlight grows faint and distant, the telescope detected something that simply shouldn't exist. It wasn't a reflection of starlight, nor was it the usual glow from a comet or asteroid passing by. This was different, a source of light that behaved in no way our science could explain. It did not scatter, bend, or reflect like natural light normally does. Instead, it shone with a peculiar steadiness, an artificial quality, almost as if it had been engineered. And that single observation has shaken the scientific community to its core. Experts are now asking a question that is both thrilling and terrifying. What exactly is 3 Atlas? The story of this object's discovery is just as strange as the object itself. At first, 3 Atlas appeared to be nothing more than a small, distant speck of light, a harmless visitor at the far edges of our solar system. Yet even then, its movement was unusual. It didn't follow the predictable paths we expect from comets or asteroids born within our system. Instead, its trajectory seemed to be influenced by something unknown. Something we cannot yet see or measure. Slowly but steadily, this enigmatic traveler has been drifting closer, slipping quietly and almost deliberately into the region of space we call home. And now, as we study it more closely, the implications grow more profound. If the light truly is artificial, then it suggests intelligence, and intelligence means intent. Could 3 Atlas be more than just a rock or a chunk of ice from the void? Could it be a vessel, a probe, or even a message from another civilization? These are no longer questions confined to science fiction. They are questions scientists, astronomers, and philosophers are being forced to ask in the real world. The discovery of 3 Atlas has reignited humanity's oldest and most haunting question, one that has lingered since the dawn of our curiosity. Are we alone in the universe, or has something, or someone, been watching us all along? Whatever the truth is, the answer may forever change how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. And as 3 Atlas continues its silent journey closer to our world, one thing is certain: this is only the beginning of the mystery. At first, the discovery of the object now known as 3 Atlas didn't seem all that remarkable. Astronomers treated it as just another interstellar visitor, another unusual traveler like the famous Oumuamua or the comet Borisov, both of which had entered our solar system from deep space before. But even from the earliest images, there was something about 3 Atlas that simply didn't add up. Its appearance defied expectations. Unlike most objects that come from beyond our solar neighborhood, this one reflected light in a way that was almost unnatural. It wasn't just bright, it was too bright, brighter than an object of its estimated size or composition had any right to be. And even more puzzling was how that brightness behaved. It didn't fluctuate the way scientists would expect. It didn't fade as it moved farther from the sun, nor did it surge unexpectedly as if it were venting gas or dust into space. This was especially odd because comets, for example, usually become brighter in bursts as their icy surfaces warm up and release gas, creating spectacular tails. But 3 Atlas didn't follow that familiar pattern at all. Its glow remained eerily consistent, as though it were being powered by something internal, something deliberate. That strange consistency caught the attention of astronomers all over the world. Soon, telescopes on Earth and in orbit were all turned toward this strange object, each hoping to solve the mystery. Among them was the James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most advanced eye on the cosmos, capable of seeing in infrared and revealing details that ordinary telescopes cannot detect. What Webb uncovered would only deepen the enigma. Positioned far from the distortions of Earth's atmosphere, Webb is designed to peer into the unseen, to look past the glare of stars and uncover the secrets hidden in the cold, dark reaches of space. Scientists expected that its powerful instruments would finally make sense of 3 Atlas's unusual behavior. Perhaps it would reveal that the brightness was caused by some unknown surface property property, or that the object was simply reflecting sunlight in an unusual way. But instead of providing answers, Webb delivered a discovery that raised even more questions. What it saw wasn't just reflected light, it was heat. Not random scattered warmth from sunlight bouncing off a cold rock, but a concentrated emission radiating from deep within the object itself. And that heat did not match any natural explanation scientists could offer. It wasn't the type produced by solar heating, nor was it consistent with chemical reactions or ordinary outgassing. It was something else entirely, as if 3 Atlas had an inner engine, a core that was generating energy from within. This revelation left astronomers stunned. Space is filled with mysteries, but this was different. This was something they had never observed before. What could be producing that steady glow? What was the source of that internal heat? The deeper scientists looked, the less sense 3 Atlas made. And as observations continued, one unsettling possibility began to emerge. Perhaps this was not just a piece of wandering rock and ice at all. Perhaps it was something far more complex and far more intentional than anyone had dared to imagine. Normally, comets glow because sunlight bounces off their dust and ice, but 3IE Atlas behaved very differently. Instead of reflecting light, it released heat from deep within, radiating outward from its core. This wasn't the usual glow caused by the sun. It was light the object itself was generating. Thermal scans revealed a strange pattern unlike anything seen in nature, with faint, uneven pulses that repeated in a steady cycle. This repeating rhythm suggested something deliberate was happening, not just random natural activity. Scientists at NASA and ESA proposed unusual theories. Perhaps radioactivity, friction beneath the surface, or rare materials, but none of these explanations matched the new evidence. The only remaining possibility was that something inside might actually be powering it. As more data arrived from telescopes around the world, a clearer picture of 3IE Atlas began to emerge, and it didn't resemble any natural object we've ever seen. Its trajectory was too precise to be accidental, as if it was choosing its path and adjusting its motion with gravity. Even its rotation was strange, steady and controlled, without the typical wobbling that most space objects display. Some researchers suggested that it might even have a protective shell, something shielding it from extreme temperatures. Then came one of the most debated findings of all. Measurements of its surface reflectivity, its albedo, showed that parts of it were nearly perfectly reflective, more like polished metal than rock, ice, or dust. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community. If 3IE Atlas was metallic, structured, and capable of producing energy, then it likely wasn't a natural formation at all. It pointed to something built, technology. And soon, quiet but serious conversations began. Was this object a probe, a signal, a spacecraft, or perhaps evidence of something not from Earth? The idea that 3IE Atlas could be an alien spacecraft was no longer dismissed as a wild online theory. It was now being discussed quietly in official scientific emails. What worried researchers most wasn't just the internal heat, the precise trajectory, or the metallic surface. It was the light. Detailed analysis revealed something deeply unsettling. The light coming from the object wasn't spread across many wavelengths like normal reflected sunlight. Instead, it was concentrated into a narrow range of colors, suggesting it was being emitted intentionally. This is the same technique humans use for LEDs, laser communication, and spacecraft signaling. Even more alarming, the frequencies match those commonly used for communication and navigation here on Earth. On top of that, the brightness of the light shifted slightly in sync with changes in solar energy, as if an onboard system were adjusting it in real time. It also blinked in a repeating rhythm, not randomly, but with a deliberate, structured pattern. Scientists ran the data through signal recognition software, and while the results weren't definitive, they were far from meaningless. Some researchers thought the repeating pulses resembled binary code, while others suggested they might come from a rotating power source. But everyone agreed on one undeniable fact. The object wasn't passive, it was actively doing something, and humanity was witnessing it happen. As observations continued, a team of scientists from MIT and Harvard focused closely on the radio signals coming from 3IE Atlas. At first, the frequencies appeared chaotic, like background noise. But when they applied advanced mathematical techniques to search for repetition, an unexpected pattern began to emerge. A precise, repeating rhythm, too structured to be natural, was discovered hidden within the background noise. It wasn't standard computer code or any known type of signal used by humans, but it clearly carried an intentional message. Some scientists believed it could be a transmission meant for another civilization, while others suspected it was data being sent back to wherever the object originated. What made it even more unusual was that the signal hadn't changed at all since it was first detected. It seemed as if 3IE Atlas wasn't trying to communicate with us at all, but with someone else. Someone who might already be receiving it. News of this breakthrough quickly reached top scientists and military officials. A confidential report circulated within NASA and was eventually shared with a journalist. It revealed that space agencies around the world were now collaborating to determine whether 3IE Atlas posed any danger. Opinions among researchers were divided. Some argued that it was likely harmless, perhaps an ancient, drifting machine built long ago and now simply following a programmed route through space. Others, however, were not convinced. They raised unsettling questions that had no clear answers. If it's transmitting signals, who is on the receiving end? If it can emit light, could it also have the ability to move on its own? And if it was intentionally sent here, why was it sent now? The report concluded that although unlikely, it was possible that 3IE Atlas wasn't just passing through our solar system, but was actively observing, perhaps mapping planetary positions, measuring magnetic fields, or even studying intelligent civilizations. This possibility caused deep concern because if the object was watching us, it might not be alone, and whatever sent it could still be on its way. Further study of 3IE Atlas's light led to an even more surprising idea. It might not just be emitting energy, it could also be collecting it. The way its light shifted when it approached the sun, combined with the fact that it showed no signs of using fuel, suggested that it might be equipped with a system beneath its surface designed to capture solar energy. Some scientists proposed that the dust surrounding the object could serve two purposes, both protecting it and helping it absorb light. If this was true, it would mean that 3IE Atlas might be capable of traveling indefinitely through space, drawing power directly from starlight and continuing its journey from one star system to another without ever stopping. This idea matches what scientists believe about how advanced space probes might operate. Such probes could remain dormant for centuries, awakening only when they encounter a star system worth exploring. If our solar system triggered 3IE Atlas to activate, then it may have received a signal or reached a preset destination. As space agencies across the globe worked to understand the situation, one unsettling truth became increasingly clear. We are not ready. Although humanity has speculated about encountering alien life for decades, our political systems, scientific frameworks, and philosophical ideas are not equipped to grasp what the existence of 3IE Atlas could truly mean. There were no public statements, but confidential documents from agencies in France, Japan, and Brazil all hinted at the same conclusion, that this might not be just a mysterious visitor, but the beginning of a slow, deliberate first contact. Unlike the dramatic portrayals in movies, there was no landing, no sudden arrival, and no straightforward communication. All we had were faint signals, unusual light, and an unsettling silence. People online continue to track the object's every move, but each new discovery only leads to deeper questions. If this is contact, it's unfolding on its terms, not ours. The situation remains distant, quiet, and deeply unnerving, and perhaps the most alarming possibility is that this might not be a peaceful visit at all. It could be surveillance, and whoever sent it might already be observing us. Just as scientists believe they understood the object's behavior, something unexpected occurred. Its brightness suddenly spiked dramatically. This wasn't a gradual increase caused by moving closer to the sun. It was a rapid, intense burst detected immediately by the James Webb Space Telescope and confirmed by observatories on Earth. Within less than 2 minutes, 3IE Atlas grew almost 40% brighter and then maintained that new, higher level of luminosity. There was no ordinary explanation for what happened. It hadn't been struck by solar wind, nothing had collided with it, and there were no signs of it breaking apart. It was as if something inside had suddenly been switched on. The sudden burst of brightness wasn't just visible, it also caused a noticeable rise in the object's temperature, as though internal systems were powering up. Some scientists proposed a chilling possibility. The object might have woken up, either triggered by its proximity to our sun, or because it had detected that it was being observed. And if this sudden activity was intentional, it seemed designed to get attention. Not long after the unexplained brightening, new orbital calculations revealed another surprise. 3IE Atlas was no longer exactly where it was expected to be. It had shifted slightly, not by much, but enough to be measured, and gravity alone couldn't explain the change. Something had clearly happened. The movement appeared deliberate, and even more unsettling was the new trajectory it followed. It was now traveling deeper into the solar system, and its path had shifted drifted closer to the plane of Earth's orbit. The object was no longer just passing through, it had changed direction. Some experts tried to explain it away as a rare gravitational interaction, but others believed it was a controlled maneuver, something no natural object had ever been seen doing. And if 3IE Atlas could adjust its course even slightly, it meant we were not looking at a simple relic from space. We were watching something capable of intentional movement, a vehicle. As it approached close enough for the James Webb and Hubble telescopes to conduct more detailed observations, scientists detected materials that were anything but ordinary. They found evidence of reflective metals, rare elements, and, most astonishing of all, light signatures resembling substances that do not exist anywhere in our known catalog of elements. These weren't the kinds of materials you'd ever expect to find inside a frozen chunk of rock drifting through space. They appeared to have been created or assembled under conditions that don't occur naturally. One of the light signatures in particular didn't match any known chemical reaction. Instead, it closely resembled theoretical substances predicted in advanced quantum material research, materials that scientists believe could only exist under extreme magnetic forces or unique quantum conditions. This discovery suggested two possibilities. Either the object was unimaginably ancient, built long before humans existed, or it was created recently by a civilization far more advanced than our own. The composition of the object spoke louder than any signal it might be sending. Even if we never decoded its messages, the materials alone were undeniable proof that it wasn't a natural formation. As the evidence increasingly pointed toward an artificial origin, governments and major organizations began responding, quietly but with unmistakable urgency. Observatory networks upgraded their encryption systems. Research teams were reassigned to classified projects. Satellites around the planet began adjusting their positions in unusual patterns. Nations with active space programs entered into private, high-level discussions about how to proceed. A leaked defense report even suggested that 3IE Atlas might not be operating alone, but could be a scout. Its unusual structure, precise rotation, and ability to function across vast interstellar distances hinted that it was purpose-built for one thing: long-term observation. But if it was searching for something, what exactly was it trying to find? And more importantly, what might happen once it did? Scientists across universities, observatories, and defense agencies began to converge on a deeply unsettling idea. Humanity might not be alone in space, and this first encounter could be more like an evaluation than a peaceful conversation. As discussions grew more serious, a bold team at the SETI Institute decided to take a risk that others hesitated to attempt. They transmitted a powerful radio signal directly toward the region where they believed 3IE Atlas was located. The message included basic mathematical sequences, a list of chemical elements, and simple representations of humans. A cautious attempt at saying hello to whatever might be out there. Days passed without any response. Then a week went by. Just as the team was preparing to accept that their effort would go unanswered, a monitoring station in Chile detected something unexpected. It was a focused signal returning from the same direction, slightly shifted in frequency, not entirely clear, but unmistakably timed to align with the original transmission. It wasn't a reply in any human language. It wasn't just a natural echo bouncing off space dust or debris. It was deliberate, a modified signal intentionally sent back. What shocked the SETI researchers most wasn't the nature of the signal itself, but the moment it arrived. The response came exactly 72 hours after our transmission, down to the very second. This precise timing was undeniable proof that something had not only received our message, but also understood it and deliberately chose to reply. Immediately after the return signal was detected, telescopes around the world began experiencing strange technical issues. The James Webb Telescope recorded unusual heat fluctuations for the first time since its launch. Hubble's sensors detected tiny movements even though it remained perfectly stable. Ground-based observatories reported software glitches, incorrect star mapping, unusual pixel distortions, and sudden data freezes, all occurring when their instruments were pointed toward 3IE Atlas. These weren't random malfunctions. They all happened simultaneously, almost as if someone or something didn't want us observing too closely. A classified team within the European Space Agency proposed a chilling theory. The object wasn't just sending signals, it was actively interfering with our instruments. This revelation had enormous implications. A simple observer would have no reason to hide, but a scout might. And if something was controlling what we could detect and when, then we weren't truly watching it. It was deciding what we were allowed to see. After that, everything changed. In the days following the signal and the sudden wave of technical disruptions, public updates from space agencies slowed, then became limited, and eventually shifted in tone entirely. Many online data records disappeared or became inaccessible. The European Space Agency issued a vague statement about equipment maintenance. NASA stopped commenting altogether. Even leading science publications that had been covering 3IE Atlas extensively began retracting their articles or replacing them with watered-down summaries. Scientists became sharply divided. Some believed the agencies were verifying their findings before making any formal announcements. Others suspected something more troubling, that the truth had already been uncovered and was being deliberately withheld. The few independent observatories that continued sharing data tried to make their findings public, but their reports were quickly buried beneath waves of misinformation and speculation. What had once been a scientific mystery captivating researchers around the world had now become a closely guarded asset for governments. History shows that when authorities hide discoveries, the truth often stays hidden. In a final attempt to make sense of the situation, a small group of astronomers and data analysts turned to advanced pattern recognition techniques, searching for clues and trying to predict what might happen next. They stopped searching for hidden messages in the usual sense and instead focused on finding proof of intentional behavior. That's when they uncovered the most unsettling pattern yet. At first glance, the object's path through the solar system appeared natural, but when mapped against the positions of the planets, it traced a Fibonacci spiral, a mathematical pattern seen throughout nature and frequently used by humans as a way to encode information. Even more striking was that every significant event, its course changes, light pulses, and returned signals, followed sequences based on prime numbers. The odds of this happening by chance were astronomically low. These were deliberate choices. This meant the object wasn't merely passing through space, it was navigating with precise mathematics, as if following a planned route or a carefully drawn map. Some scientists quietly proposed a radical possibility. Maybe this wasn't just a probe at all. Maybe it was a message from another star, not communicated through words or symbols, but through its movements and actions themselves. The first part of that message had only just begun to make sense. And as the pieces started falling into place, one conclusion became impossible to ignore. 3IE Atlas was not just a drifting rock. Everything about it, from its unusual light and calculated signals to its engineered materials and deliberate trajectory, pointed to a single unsettling truth. We have not been alone for a very long time, and perhaps we were never meant to discover that. The James Webb Space Telescope, built to study the birth of galaxies, may have instead revealed something built to study us. This object is ancient, deliberately created, and clearly observing us. It's not somewhere far beyond our reach. It's here, close to our own solar system, and yet everything remains silent. Governments refuse to speak, withholding information from the public. It seems humanity isn't ready for the truth, but we've seen the light. We've tracked its movements. Now we're left with a chilling question. What comes next? Was 3IE Atlas simply passing through, recording details about our planet before continuing its journey? Or was it only the beginning? A scout sent ahead to prepare the way for something larger, waiting for the right moment to arrive. In the end, it might not matter whether 3IE Atlas is a machine, a probe, or something entirely different. What matters is that it came here, it observed, and it responded. And now, somewhere out there in the cold, endless dark, something else might be turning its attention toward the small blue planet that dared to send a message into the void. Perhaps the countdown has already begun, and the universe is reminding us of a truth we've long ignored. We are not the center of everything, and we are being watched.